had a great opportunity to talk with Jernaro Gilford yesterday following BYU football practice. He, like I said, he's one of my favorite guys to talk to because he keeps it real, but at the same time, he is a bona fide stud as a coach. He has dealt with numerous injuries to his cornerback position room this season already. Some of them obviously out front. Evan Johnson left against Kansas State, and it appears he's going to miss some time. Well, good news is when Evan Johnson gets lost, Mory Bamba just returned from his own injury after getting injured late in training camp and missing out on the first 3 weeks of the season. So it's been a bit of a shuffling of the board, as it were, for Jernaro Gilford, but he is not making any complaints. He expects his guys to perform every single week, obviously. And more importantly, he's got some unique insights as to the mindset of the BYU defense, what's made them so good. And in fact, a little bit of a tidbit of a guy on BYU staff who predicted Parker Kingston's punt return for a touchdown against Kansas State. All that and more right now with Jernaro Gilford right here on the Locked On Cougars podcast. You've had a bit of a rotating cast of characters at cornerback. We saw Evan Johnson leave the game the other night, but we saw Mory Bamba come back. Mm-hmm. How have you been able to balance all this and keep these guys up to speed?
You know what? Having depth helps, and having all those guys playing spring and be here through spring and take all those reps definitely paid off. And it just so happens that Mory went down in fall camp, so it allowed Evan to get about 4 weeks of reps. So when his time came, he was ready, and it just so happened that his week coming back. Unfortunate, but Evan had went down, and Moore was there to step up. So it just kind of played out that way.
Now I remember talking to you during training camp about Mory and kind of his ascension up the depth chart. Has he taken any time to get caught back up because of the time he missed since then?
Yeah. I mean, he's been watching all the film, trying to get ready, doing all the small things as far as technique and stuff like that. And it's been a benefit, having all the coaches here and having Rob Daniels, who's my GA here now.
Your assistant.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So he's been good to have because he can take Mory to the side and kind of work with him while he's kind of going through things and stuff like that. So he's done a great job doing that, just getting guys ready and prepared.
Yeah. Now, obviously, you've had Jakob out there, and he's been, frankly, a stud from my perspective, both playing outside corner, also that nickel spot. What makes him so versatile and being able to just try and move between those two spots when needed?
Just his IQ for the game. His IQ for the game pays attention to details, ability to be sticky in coverage, not afraid to come up and tackle. So we can afford to move him inside and outside. And knock on wood, he's been able to stay healthy. So he's definitely a pleasure to work with.
Your cornerbacks obviously have a very tough job in this league. So there's some of the bigger wide receivers. I know, like this week, example for Baylor, they got some pretty big-bodied receivers. What do you teach them to combat that?
I mean, we don't want to engage with the big boys. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be you got to be smart. You got to win with your feet, being positioned to make plays. And for us, we'll just use our feet. And when the play presents itself, we just got to be there to make a play.
Well, Chase Roberts just walked by, and he's a bigger body receiver.
Oh, yeah,
is that nice to have guys like him to go up against in practice?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Chase, Darius, all those big boys, Keelan.
Well, even Keanu,
Marquise, Keanu. I mean, so we got some big boys that we've faced for the last few years. So when we face bigger guys, it's not like it's brand new because we have a big receiving core. You know what I mean? So we got to work winning with our feet every single day with our offense. Because again, they are big. They do have ball skills, high point the ball, and all that good stuff. And that's why those guys are making plays now.
Does it help a guy like Trey Alexander to literally be 6'2" when he has to go up against guys of his caliber? I know he's a young player, but his length you can't teach that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, anytime you can get a guy who's 6'2", who has long arms and pretty good feet, and a guy that can run, it always helps out a little bit because it just shrinks the windows down. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely a privilege having a guy like that.
Have him and Jonathan Cabella surprised you with their ability to get on the field so early on?
You know what? No. Jay Hill did a great job of evaluating those guys, and Jay knows what he wants. I can show Jay 15 guys, and he's like, no to 14 and yes to 1, and he's usually right. You know what I mean? So when he seen those two, he was definitely all in. Didn't have to second guess himself and stuff like that. So we kind of knew that those two guys would come in, be prepared to play, be prepared for school, and just be ready to be around this team.
How collaborative of a process is it with Jake? 'Cause I know he's a former all-conference
for sure.
corner himself, and you obviously have your accolades yourself. How collaborative an effort is it between you two as you evaluate talent?
Oh, I mean, it's total like double duty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, he'll watch them, I'll watch them. We'll both send each other guys, evaluate them, compare them to guys and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, we want to be good, and we always want the best guys. So we go from the film, go to meet them, go to meet the parents, go to see what kind of personality they have, all that good stuff. So it's a total collaboration.
Are there times you'll be like, hey, this is a safety guy, and he'll send you a corner guy essentially, and be like,
oh,
hey,
for sure. Yeah. And Jay recruits everything.
Okay.
So it could be a D tackle. I mean, he has an eye. He's just a ball coach. You know what I mean?
Knows what he's looking for.
Oh, for sure. And he knows what it takes to be in this defense and be successful. And that's the great thing, because he'll flat out say, like, I'm not sure if this guy's competitive enough, or whatever the case may be. He might not be stout enough, or he's not twitchy enough, whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? But Jay does a great job at that.
What has made this defense so good through 4 games this season from your perspective?
The family atmosphere, to be honest with you, man. Our defense, they definitely come together. They all get along. They all hold each other accountable. So it's a difference between a coach holding the player accountable, but peer-to-peer is always different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Jay has been preaching that from day one, and I think they're finally starting to get it. Hold each other accountable, whether it's a front guy or a back guy. Like, you'll hear a D tackle telling the corner, as far as if you're in the zone and you're midpoint the route, or vice versa, they're supposed to be in the gap, or whatever the case may be. So they definitely hold each other accountable, which is a great thing. So kudos to all the defensive staff for making that happen.
You were on the staff when you guys went to Baylor last time. What are your memories of playing down there at McLean Stadium?
Man, getting our butts kicked, to be honest with you. Great atmosphere.
Yeah.
They had a great team. Gary was their QB, man. But they always gonna play tough defense with Coach Aranda there. So that's never gonna be a question. But this year the offense is good. A great running game. They have over 4 backs with 20 carries. They have big, like you mentioned earlier, they got big wideouts who can go and high point and use their body to fend you off and catch the ball, and curls and fade balls. They have 2 little slot wideouts that can really go, shifty, fast. I think one is like a 10-500. The other one is shifty. He might be close to that as well. So definitely have our hands full. It's going to be warm. So good that it's warm now. That's why I got on a black sweater. You know what I mean? It's not going to be close to there, close to Texas, but getting ready for it.
Last thing for me, are you helping Tyler Batty catch interceptions? Like, working on those ball skills? Because that was pretty nice to see him come down with that.
Hey, you know what? We do drills with the D linemen too.
Oh, you do? Okay.
We do. I mean, it's again, and that's the great thing about this team. You know what I mean? We'll do turnover drills with the D linemen.
Yeah.
Our D line coach, Coach Puha, Coach K-Pop, Coach Enna, they'll do drills with the corners and everything like that. So we all collaborate and help everybody. So again, that's the great thing, and that's why our guys are so accountable as far as being peer-to-peer, because they see us all as far as having hands-on. So that's a good thing.
I meant to ask this. I said last thing, but I have one more thing.
Yep.
Have you ever seen a punt safe situation go back for a touchdown like it did for Parker?
You know what? I personally haven't. But the funny part is this: we actually met about that on Thursday.
Okay.
On Thursday, and Coach Jay said the best punt returns should be defensive state, because that's our guys out there. It's our defensive guys out there, and we know what we're doing. We're going to return it to our sideline every time, and it should be the best return. So, of course, as soon as it got returned, we hop on the headset like, okay, Jay, I see you. Like, you actually caught it. Like literally on Thursday, he met with the whole defense and told them that. So it was just a great thing that happened.
Jay Hill is Nostradamus. We got it.
Absolutely.
So Jay Hill is Nostradamus. That's what we're pulling away from this interview, aren't we? Now, there's other good things in there. Jernaro talked about what Jakob Robinson's meant to this defense. Overall, what he's seeing from BYU's defense, and they said the family nature of it, guys holding each other accountable, but at the same time, getting along and doing their 111th. This is a BYU defense that's playing at an elite level right now, and it really is reflected in the way that they operate as a unit. And obviously, it was good to hear from Jernaro and allow him to explain exactly how it's all gone down, but it's incredible to consider that Jay Hill, in a meeting last Thursday, essentially called it that BYU is going to return a punt for a touchdown, and Parker Kingston did just that. Jay Hill is an incredible coach, but apparently has a preternatural ability to predict the future. So I'm calling Jay Hill from now on Nostradamus. All right. Once again, a big thank you to Jernaro Gilford for taking the time to join us here on the podcast. And we'll have more conversations like this, obviously, throughout the coming days and weeks on the podcast. So stay tuned for all of those.